Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take complex topics, look at your sources, and really try to get to the heart of what's important. Today, we're diving into something pretty fascinating and often really impactful: the science of adult attachment.
It really is. It's a field that offers um, some powerful insights into why we behave the way we do in our closest relationships.
Yeah, and how we can actually, shape them for more fulfillment.
Exactly.
You might recognize some of these feelings, right? That intense worry, maybe early in a relationship.
Oh, definitely.
Or feeling kind of trapped when things get serious, or, gosh, even feeling totally alone after years of marriage.
These are deeply painful things people go through.
For sure. And today we're going to try and unpack them using attachment theory, drawing a lot from the book Attached, The New Science of Adult Attachment by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller.
Right. And our mission today really is to shed light on these sometimes surprising patterns in how adults act in romance.
To help you figure out your own needs.
Exactly. And maybe understand others better too. To navigate, dating and partnership with more clarity.
Totally.
By the end of this deep dive, you should have a new way of looking at love and some practical steps you can actually use.
Sounds good. So where did this whole idea, this attachment theory, where did it even start? I think it was with kids, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, it started with children. The pioneering work of John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth back in the, 1940s through 60s,
Yeah.
it completely revolutionized how we saw the parent-child bond. They showed that connection isn't just about, getting food.
Right.
It's essential, like as essential for survival as food and water. Crucial for, everything. Physical, intellectual, emotional, social growth.
Wow.
And Bowlby's genius was realizing, hey, this isn't just for kids. We're basically programmed genetically to seek out close relationships our whole lives.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Research later by Cindy Hazan and Philip Shaver.
Yeah.
They found adults show similar patterns with partners.
Very similar patterns to kids with parents. So our emotional brain, handed down from Homo sapiens living way back when,
Yeah, different world.
totally different world. It's still wired for this intense connection. It even shows protest behavior when a partner feels distant, like a frantic kid, basically.
Wow. Okay, so it's deep. It's biological.
It really is.
Yeah.
Deeply rooted in biology. There are studies like Dr. Kunian's MRI experiment. It showed that once we attach to someone, we form a kind of physiological unit.
Physiological unit. What does that mean exactly?
It means like holding your spouse's hand when you're stressed can dramatically lower the stress signals in your brain's hypothalamus.
Way more than a stranger's hand.
Oh, much more. It shows our partner literally directly regulates our heart rate, our blood pressure, our hormones.
That's incredible. Okay, so let's unpack this dependency paradox. Because our culture, it often looks down on dependency.
Right. It praises independence. Self-help books often say, happiness comes from within. Too much dependence is codependent.
Yeah, that word gets thrown around a lot.
It does, but what's fascinating is biology tells a totally different story here. The dependency paradox suggests the opposite.
The opposite.
Yeah. The more effectively dependent we are on each other, meaning we have that secure base, the more independent and daring we actually become.
Huh. Like Ainsworth's strange situation test with babies.
Exactly like that. The secure baby explores confidently because mom or dad is there. For adults, if our partner is consistently available, supportive.
Then we can focus outward.
Precisely. We can focus on other important things, explore the world with confidence. That security enables independence.
Okay, that reframes things quite a bit. So this theory identifies three main ways people approach this, right? The attachment style.
Yep, three main styles: secure, anxious, and avoidant. And they pretty much dictate how we see and react to intimacy.
And they influence everything.
Pretty much everything. How you view closeness, how you handle conflict, what you even expect from a relationship. So, secure people. They're generally comfortable with intimacy, warm, loving. They're okay depending on partners and having partners depend on them.
Okay, makes sense.
Then anxious. These folks crave intimacy, often preoccupied with the relationship, worrying about their partner's love or availability. They can feel anxious, incomplete when they're not in a relationship.
All right, that sounds familiar from some stories.
And avoidant. These individuals tend to equate intimacy with losing independence. They try to minimize closeness.
So they push people away.
Often, yeah. They can find it uncomfortable being really close, hard to trust completely or depend on others.
No, was it just upbringing, or is it more complicated?
It used to be thought it was mostly upbringing, but it's more complex. Early interactions matter, sure, but so do our genes and, importantly, our adult romantic experiences.
So it can change.
Exactly. Attachment styles are stable, but they're also plastic, meaning they can change, especially if you put in conscious effort.
Okay, that's hopeful. So first step then is figuring out your own style.
Absolutely. That's the starting point. You can use questionnaires, things that measure your anxiety and avoidance levels in relationships.
But the big question, how do you figure out someone else's style? You can't, like you said, give them a quiz on date number 1.
Right, you can't. But
Right.
people give off clues all the time in just their daily actions, their reactions.
So you have to be observant.
Very observant. Know what to look for. We call them the golden rules for figuring this out.
Okay, lame a mummy.
All right. Number 1, do they seek intimacy and closeness? That's the main thing. If the answer is generally no or they minimize it, likely avoidant. If yes, could be secure or anxious.
Okay, what's next?
2, how preoccupied are they with the relationship? How sensitive to rejection? Anxious people, highly sensitive, often preoccupied. Secure people, much less concerned.
Got it. Don't jump to conclusions.
Exactly. Rule 3, don't rely on just one symptom. Look for patterns, combinations of behaviors over time.
And the last one sounds crucial.
It is. Rule 4, assess their reaction to effective communication. This tells you so much. Express your needs, your feelings directly, but non-accusingly. Their response in that moment, gold mine of information.
Okay, let's make this concrete. What about someone like Janet? Meets a great guy, instantly starts worrying, overthinking texts, trying to do everything right.
Janet's preoccupation, that worry, that belief any tiny thing could ruin it, that points strongly towards an anxious attachment style. And letting him set the pace, classic insecure behavior.
And Paul, the guy who loses interest after a few months, always finds a flaw.
Paul's pattern, devaluing partners as intimacy grows, always dreaming of the one who's somehow better. Classic avoidant traits. And notice he blames external factors, not his own patterns.
Right, it's always something about them.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive deeper into the anxious style. Emily's story you mentioned, the successful woman who became obsessed, calling, tracking. That sounds extreme.
It does from the outside. But it was her activated attachment system. Anxious folks have a super sensitive system. They pick up on tiny threats, perceive distance really quickly.
Like those morph movies you mentioned.
Exactly. They see emotional shifts faster, but they can also jump to negative conclusions quicker because of that sensitivity. This hypervigilance leads to activating strategies,
Which are?
thoughts and feelings pushing them to seek closeness, like obsessing about the partner or thinking, this is my only chance for love, that kind of desperate feeling.
And if that doesn't work, they resort to protest behavior.
Right, which unfortunately can backfire. These are actions to get attention or reestablish contact.
Like calling nonstop.
Yep, or withdrawing suddenly, acting hostile, keeping score, threatening to leave, trying to make the partner jealous.
Wow. And brain imaging shows it's harder for them to just turn it off.
It does. More activity in emotion areas when thinking of loss, less in regulation areas. It's a real biological struggle to calm down that distress.
Okay, here's the really counterintuitive part. Why do so many anxious people end up dating avoidant partners? It seems like a recipe for disaster.
It often is. It's partly, repeating familiar dynamics, maybe from childhood, but also the mixed signals from an avoidant partner, that push-pull, can intensely activate the anxious person's system.
Creating that roller coaster.
Exactly. And they can mistake that high anxiety, the preoccupation, those brief moments of connection, they mistake that feeling for deep love or passion.
When it's really just an activated system.
An activated attachment system screaming for security. True love, biologically speaking, feels more like peace of mind.
So if someone listening identifies as anxious, how do they find that peace? Avoid the heartache.
Okay, key steps. First, acknowledge and accept your needs. Intimacy, availability, security. These are valid needs. Don't feel guilty.
Stop calling yourself needy.
Please. Second, recognize and rule out avoidance early. Look for those signs. Dismissing your feelings, calling you too needy, ignoring concerns.
Be brave enough to walk away.
Yes. Third, communicate authentically using effective communication. No games. Be real from the start.
And fourth,
Adopt an abundance philosophy. Seriously, know there are many potential good partners out there. Maybe date multiple people casually. At first, it desensitizes the system, stops you obsessing over one person too soon.
okay, let's switch gears to the avoidance style. The book uses that lonesome traveler metaphor, idealizing self-sufficiency. Is that the core?
Metaphorically, yes. That idealization of self-reliance is key. They often look down on dependency. Studies show they tend to be less happy in relationships overall.
They seem like free spirits, but maybe it's a defense.
It often is. Deeper studies, when their defenses are down, show they do have underlying fears of separation, just like others. Their brain is working hard to suppress those feelings.
So they're constantly maneuvering to keep distance, even unconsciously.
Pretty much. It might look like Mike feeling vaguely dissatisfied even though he loves his partner, or Kaya missing single life, even though she was lonely then. Accepting a partner, flaws and all, allowing dependency, that's the big challenge.
What are some ways this shows up, this need for distance?
A big one is seeing the worm instead of the apple, focusing on tiny flaws to justify pulling away, like Carol breaking up with Bob over small stuff, then regretting it. That surge of negativity is a deactivating strategy.
A way to kill the intimacy.
Exactly. And they often struggle to read partners' emotional states accurately, leading to those complaints about being emotionally unavailable.
And what about the phantom X, or always searching for the one?
Classic deactivating strategies. Idealizing someone unavailable, the X, or someone mythical, the perfect one, keeps them safe from real intimacy right now.
It's a way to avoid commitment without realizing it.
Precisely. It maintains distance.
So if you're avoidant, how do you stop pushing love away? What are the steps?
Okay. First, learn to identify your deactivating strategies. When that feeling hits, they're not right, I need out. Pause. Is it real, or is it your system pushing the eject button?
Question that impulse.
Yes. Second, de-emphasize total self-reliance. Focus on mutual support. Recognize that real independence often comes from security.
Like the dependency paradox again.
Exactly. Third, try a relationship gratitude list daily. Focus on the positives to counteract that negative focus.
Okay, practical.
Fourth, nix the phantom X. Consciously acknowledge they weren't viable. Let go of that ideal. And finally, forget about the one. Seek genuine connection, warts and all.
Okay, now for the secure style. The book calls them supermates. What makes them so effective?
It's their consistency, their trustworthiness, their comfort with intimacy without all the drama. Research is really clear. Secure attachment is the single best predictor of relationship happiness.
And they can actually help their partners become more secure, that buffering effect.
Yes. It's remarkable. If you're with someone secure, they can literally nurture you towards more security, boosting your satisfaction too.
What's their secret sauce?
It's their internal programming, really. They just expect partners to be loving and responsive. They communicate needs effectively, directly.
No games. Comfortable with closeness.
Very quick to forgive, too. And they tend to see sex and emotional intimacy as linked, not separate. Their unconscious mind defaults to themes of love and closeness, not danger or loss.
So they're perfect, no flaws.
No, not saints. But in conflict, they stay focused on the problem, show concern, avoid generalizing. That makes them super effective. And crucially, they provide that secure base, actively supporting their partner's growth and goals.
But can a secure person still end up in a bad relationship? Or stay too long?
Oh, absolutely. Their strengths, forgiveness, optimism, prioritizing the partner can backfire if boundaries aren't there. Nathan's story, staying with Shelley despite her issues.
Right, the tantrums, the affairs.
Yeah. His secure inclination to make it work kept him in a detrimental situation too long because he was protecting his own well-being.
So what are the warning signs for a secure person? When should they worry?
If you're normally secure and you start feeling consistently agitated, worried, maybe unusually jealous, or you hesitate to express yourself, that's a big red flag.
It means the relationship is maybe undermining your security.
Exactly. Either the person isn't right or the experiences are shaking your secure foundation. Pay attention to that shift.
Okay, this leads us to the clash, the anxious avoidant trap. What happens when these two styles collide?
It's often that storm-tossed voyage. You see fights that look like they're about, the washing machine.
Like Janet and Mark.
Right. But underneath, it's his avoidant need for space hitting her anxious need for closeness. Or Naomi and Kevin fighting about Facebook. It's really about his distance versus her need for commitment signs.
So they get stuck in this pattern, stable instability.
That's a perfect description. The relationship might last ages, but with chronic dissatisfaction simmering underneath, there's often this weird emotional counterbalancing act.
How does that work?
The avoidant feels independent and okay because the anxious partner is carrying all the neediness for the relationship. And they fight about surface stuff, never really addressing the core intimacy clash.
It sounds exhausting. So can people actually change these styles, or are we stuck?
No, definitely not stuck. Remember, stable but plastic. Change is possible. Even simple things like security priming, thinking about secure role models, people you know, even pets.
It's really...
Yeah, that consistent, reliable love. It can help prime secure feelings. When you can reshape our working models, our core beliefs, by re-examining past relationships through this attachment lens.
How do we do that practically?
We recommend creating a relationship inventory. Lift path partners, describe the relationship, identify trigger situations, what activated you if anxious, what deactivated you if avoidant.
Note the thoughts, feelings, actions.
Yes. Then analyze. How did your insecure patterns play out? And then the key step. Identify a secure role model. How they've handled it. What secure principles could you have used?
Like Henry, the avoidant guy, realizing his boss being available helped his wife.
Exactly. And that led him to send Georgia, his anxious partner, just a simple thinking of you text. Tiny action, huge impact on calming her system. That's learned security.
Which brings us neatly to effective communication. Lauren's story with Ethan is great here. She liked him, but was confused by the lack of physical intimacy.
Right. And instead of guessing or getting upset, she just asked him directly, non-accusingly, what is it that you have in mind?
And that saved her months of hoping.
Saved her months and revealed his actual situation. Directness works.
So what are the real goals of effective communication then?
3 main things. Get your needs met, understand your partner's reality, and turn conflict into closeness, believe it or not.
So you ask yourself, do they try to understand? Do they take me seriously? Do they try to make things better?
Those are the core questions. If the answer is consistently no, that's a big problem.
Why is this so hard for anxious or avoidant people?
Anxious folks fear rejection, so they might hold back. Avoidants struggle to even voice their own needs, let alone hear their partners. But you have to take that leap of faith.
Be assertive, non-apologetic.
Yes, your needs are valid. You are allowed to have them.
The book calls it the new Miranda's Law of dating. Like, you have the right to state your needs.
Exactly. Be upfront from the start. Tell people what you want and need. If they can't or won't meet them, better to know early.
So for anxious people, use it when protest behavior bubbles up.
Yes. Instead of acting out, state the need. For avoidance, communicate your need for space kindly and directly. Don't just disappear. Use I feel, I need, I want. No blame, just assert.
Okay, let's talk conflict. People think good relationships mean no fights.
True. Not at all. Conflict is inevitable. It can even be good forces compromise, growth. We need to distinguish bread and butter fights about daily stuff from intimacy-centered conflicts. Those are the tricky ones.
And there are secure principles for handling conflict, 5 of them.
Yep. 5 key principles. 1, show basic concern for their well-being. Remember, you're a team. 2, stay focused on the actual problem. Don't dredge up the past or attack character. 3, don't generalize. One fight isn't the whole relationship. 4, be willing to engage. Don't stonewall or withdraw. 5, communicate effectively feelings and needs, calmly, directly.
So anxious types need to resist accusations, state the need for reassurance. Avoidants need to resist withdrawing, acknowledge feelings.
Exactly. Stay present. And speaking of connection, oxytocin plays a role here too, right?
Ah, the cuddle hormone.
Right. It boosts trust, cooperation. Regular physical closeness, cuddling, hugging, holding hands, actually increases oxytocin.
Making you more agreeable, less prone to fighting.
Yeah, it acts like a biological buffer. Simple, but powerful.
Sometimes, though, relationships become truly toxic. That abnormal becomes the norm idea. Marcia's story with Craig, him belittling her, the Phantom X comparisons, treating her like the enemy.
That's the sign. When a partner prioritizes how things look over your actual well-being. Insults, disregard for your feelings. It's the opposite of a secure relationship where you feel like royalty valued, prioritized.
Why is it so agonizingly hard to leave those situations?
It's that biological rebound effect. Breaking an attachment bond triggers physical pain centers in the brain. Our wiring screams, don't be alone.
So you get flooded with good memories. Forget the bad.
Exactly. Your attachment system is desperately trying to pull you back to perceived safety, even if that safety is damaging.
So if someone's in that spot or recovering,
what
helps? 9 strategies.
Yes. 9 key things.
Yeah.
1, ask. Royalty or enemy, be honest. 1, ask. 2, build your support network before you need it. 1, ask. 3, find a safe, comforting place to land initially. 1, ask. 4, get attachment needs met elsewhere. Friends, family, self-care. 1, ask. 5, don't beat yourself up if you slip. It happens. 1, ask. 6, acknowledge the pain is real. Pamper yourself. 1, ask. 7, when good memories flood in, call a friend for a reality check now. 8, Deactivate. Write down all the reasons you left. Read it often. 8. Deactivate. 9. Know the pain will pass. Agree no pastures exist.
Wow, we have covered a huge amount of ground today, from understanding our deepest needs to seeing how biology drives connection, and this idea that dependency isn't bad, that finding the right person to depend on actually fuels independence, that's a big shift.
It really is. A huge shift from how many of us think about relationships. And whether you lean anxious, avoidant, or secure, just recognizing these patterns is transformative. The goal isn't to eliminate needs, it's to understand them, communicate them, find people who can meet them.
Yeah, it's like this research gives us a roadmap, not just to find love, but to actually keep it, make it fulfilling.
A roadmap to a secure, gratifying connection. That's the potential here.
So the question for everyone listening is, what will you do with this? Keep playing relationship roulette, or start actively shaping your connections towards that security, that lasting happiness, maybe realizing that leaning on the right person is the strongest thing you can do.
It really comes down to empowerment, empowering yourself to know your needs, state them clearly, and choose partners who offer that secure base. When you have that, you both can truly thrive.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.